Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
We basically at UK Twilight asked the fans for questions.
Sure.
So they're actually the ones that gave us all the questions that we have.
Okay.
Lindsay asked, "What's with the ducks in Hyde Park?"
Okay. I was when I first came to London to research for the Infernal Devices, I went to the park with my friend Sarah Rees-Brennan, who's also a writer, and we had brought some duck pies with us. So we were eating pies, and then we were finished, and we went to throw the remainders to the ducks, the crumbs, and we were halfway through throwing them, and suddenly she screamed, "Oh my God, we're feeding ducks to ducks. We're going to create a race of cannibal ducks that eat their own kind." So she made me stop throwing the crumbs, but the ducks knew we still had food, so they chased us. And so ever since then, we had a joke between us about the ducks in Hyde Park being evil, cannibal, ducks that we had created. And so we both, in her book, she put a mention of it in her book, and I put a mention of it in my book, the evil ducks in Hyde Park. So it was an inside joke, but it became something much more.
A friend of mine, Becca, actually cosplays Will, and we cosplayed last weekend, a couple of weekends ago, and they actually got attacked by the ducks. So it was very fitting.
Are evil.
It was so fitting.
I was back in about 2 weeks ago when a duck chased me, and I was like, "Do you really, they're very bad-tempered."
Sarah asked, "Was it hard letting go of the TMI series, and were you emotional whilst writing the last pages?"
Yes, I definitely got very sad while writing the last pages. There's actually there's a scene before the epilogue where there's sort of a revisiting of the whirlwind of memories of all of what the characters have done, and that was the part where I got sad and kind of cried. And it's wonderful to go on and embrace new characters in Dark Artifices and Last Hours, and but the City of Bones is my first book, and this is always going to be sort of my first baby. So it was definitely hard to say goodbye, and I'm actually really looking forward to the book coming out, because I feel like once people are reading it, then it'll kind of be my last chance to kind of reconnect with the characters and the fans about them one last time.
I know all the fans are definitely looking forward to it coming out. I definitely am. I've been waiting. I'm like, just come out already.
29 days, I think.
Oh, I know. Natasha asked, "Did you base Jace or any of the other TMI characters on your dream guy?"
I guess, in a way, I always joke that Will and Jem are there was one perfect guy, and I split him in half and gave half to Will and the other half to Jem. I think Jace is a version of many, many characters that I've loved in literature through my whole life. There's a little bit of Mr. Darcy in there, and a little bit of Mr. Rochester in there, and a little bit of Vampire Lestat in there, and a little bit of all of these different sort of sarcastic and heroes who kind of cover up their vulnerability with humor and competence. And so I think rather than being sort of my dream guy in real life, he's sort of my dream guy of books.
Awesome. A friend of mine, Josh, asked me to ask this. He actually cosplays as Henry.
Okay.
But he said, "Will Henry's biography, A Whoops and a Bang, a Shadowhunter of Modern Age, ever be made?"
I think that would be great.
I think that would be
love
awesome.
Henry, and I'm happy to hear someone cosplays as him. I always worry that he's an underappreciated character, but I've always loved the sort of eccentric mad genius kind of character. And so when I first envisioned Henry, it was the idea of him coming into the dining room where he was on fire, and he didn't notice. And so I had so much fun writing Henry.
I could totally imagine my friend Josh would do that as well. they fit each other.
No one else appreciates that guy, but I do.
I think her name is Sati. Asked, "Will Jem and Tessa's story end with City of Heavenly Fire, or are you moving it into maybe other books?"
It won't end with City of Heavenly Fire. It moves on into the Dark Artifices, because Dark Artifices focuses on Emma Carstairs, and she is and Jem is a Carstairs, she is a Carstairs. They're quite distantly related, but he's interested in her anyway, as the last sort of member of his family.
Pasquale asked, "How do you feel about all the feedback from the fans?"
I mean, I love it. I like interacting. I love interacting with fans and answering their questions, and you know, feeling like we're all sort of part of the same community. And I also feel like they give back a lot with a huge amount of like fan vids and fan art, and they write fan fiction and cosplay, and you know, and all of that stuff really, you know, feels to me like a big gift. So, you know, I want to give back as well.
Elaine asked, what was the last book you read, and would you recommend it to your fans?
Well, no, because I think it was called like A Geography of South Kensington in 1902, and I would not recommend it because it was super boring. But I had to read it for research. The last book I read was for fun. Let me think. Was actually the third book in Laini Taylor's series that starts with Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and I would recommend it. It's a great wrap-up to the trilogy.
I have the first, I just haven't had a chance to read it.
They're really good.
I have a really large to-read list.
Yeah, and I hardly ever get a chance to read for fun, but they're terrific.
This is one of my own questions. Basically, TMI and the Infernal Devices and the Shadowhunter world are your fandoms. What's your fandom?
Ooh. What's my fandom? Let's see. I think that I am a member of a bunch of fandoms, but I would say probably the one that I've been in for almost my whole life is the Tolkien fandom. Yeah, I love Lord of the Rings, and I read The Hobbit when I was a little kid, and then I read Lord of the Rings again when I was, started when I was 9, and then, you know, I reread it every couple of years, read the Silmarillion, and I have all of the, like, you know, I have, you know, the original Alan Lee paintings, and I collect the Tolkien art, and...
I'm totally not jealous.
And, like, one of the first things I did when I got an actual, like, royalty check for my books was buy a signed Tolkien book, so I'd say that's my fandom since I actually, like, collect things from it.
Awesome. Another question from myself is, when you actually started writing TMI, or maybe when you sort of got to like the 4th book, did you know exactly how you were going to end the series? Like, did you know who you were going to kill and who was going to survive and move to the next series?
I would say that they were conceived of as two separate trilogies. Yeah. About the same character. So when I started book 1, I knew exactly how book 3 was going to end. Then when I started book 4, I knew exactly how book 6 was going to end. And there's only one death in book 6 that actually surprised me. It kind of crept up on me, and I was like, I started realizing slowly, oh no, this character is going to die, like has to die. I really didn't want it, but it had to happen.
Are you going to break my heart?
I don't know. It depends whether you like this character or not.
It's possible. I love all the characters, so yeah, it's
it was sad for me as a character that I had invested in and has been there since the beginning. So I was sad to see them go.
I have one question from an author. Well, she's an aspiring author. Her name's Jackie, and she basically wanted to know about your writing process. Like, is there a specific time of day that you write, or do you listen to any music or like candles to sort of get you into the mood to write?
I would say that I think this is very specific to the person, but I'm not a night person and not a morning person, so I can't write at all in the morning. Like, you wake me up and I'm useless for like the first couple of hours of the day. So I write more in the afternoon, the evening, and I do listen to music, and I actually recommend it because we have a thing, you know, called sense memory in our brains. And so for me, I associate, if I listen to the same sort of playlist of songs, I'll associate them with specific characters or scenes or kind of writing. And so if I need to get back into the head of a character, I can kind of cue up a song that I associate with them, and it'll get me back into their head. And for me, it's a really great shortcut.
I'm exactly the same way. Night person and listen to music while making things. That's great. Thank you.
No, it's great to meet you.